get the job done first and foremost. You know, it's obviously we on the eve of the Bulls game, but to do what we did in Cape Town against the Stormers was great. That's what we're here to do. So the first thing that comes to mind. But there's a lot of good things come on trips like this. Not just obviously you're here to play and to win, but you know the concentrated time that the group and particularly the players spend with each other. Less distractions from home, you know, because you're in a very concentrated period of time and location. So, you know, you get to forge strong relationships, different experiences, you know, coffee time, social time, take the mickey time, you know, there's all those little bits and pieces, and it's a tight group, and the tight group is formed by spending time and common experiences. And I think that, you know, in addition to the rugby, what we're here to do is probably the best part of the experience. You're in a very concentrated period of time, so you know some people want space and time a little bit. So there's obviously you be mindful of that you know it's not forced fun, but also from a logistical point of view, you know you can't just go through you know the kit room and get something else, and you know you've got to plan a long time in advance, and you rely on other people and third parties and you know hotels and bits and pieces. So you know logistically, you know Di and the crew do an unbelievable Sean and Tim do an unbelievable job in relation to you know trying to make it home from home. But you know even stuff of you know the amount of water you need here, you know where you get the water from and the safety of the water, you know, is something that we take for granted probably at home. So those sort of things are massively important, and as you say, to keep the well-oiled engine turning, and the best compliment is the players don't notice the difference. So yeah, I think the logistic element is definitely something that's probably the biggest challenge, you know, and in this 2 weeks you've got it twice with probably a flight between, getting in, getting out, and the bit in between. So yeah, it's tough, but it also helps when you win and you enjoy each other's company, have some good experiences, and as a result, you know, the next bit becomes a bit easier.
I think the effort's been huge right across the board, not just defence. Obviously, there was some scary moments in the game last weekend where it really asked upon the character of the individuals, the effort they were prepared to put in, and that was the big thing that stuck out to me, was how much that they were prepared to work for each other in tough moments. And it's not just been last weekend, it's been for a lot of the season. So preparing for the SA teams, they're all very similar, huge physicality, plenty of skill set in there as well, lots of very good athletes out wide. So they have an all-fought game, but the things that stuck out to me were the set-piece defence. We made it really difficult for them to get up the field. I thought that our discipline around our tackle shot selection was excellent, didn't give them any momentum that they didn't earn. And as I said, you know, the bench that came on were just able to continue that, which was, you know, from a squad perspective, was brilliant.
I think it probably goes down to the playing group, you know, as a whole. And traditionally that's what it is, you know, the front row usually have a tight bond together. Lucky with some of the senior players we got, you know, they're really good. You know, they don't want to give up their jersey for cheap, but what they do, they help each other. They've set the standards, and for me as a coach, then it makes it easy that, you know, they drive it, they help each other. And in fairness, when called upon, you know, the young boys have really taken their learnings and their opportunities well. You know, time in the saddle, time out on the field is huge. As I said again, with some of our senior boys, you know, they can test them in training, which is really good, but there's nothing quite like getting out there and, you know, different things, different opposition, you know, the physicalities that South African bring, and probably forces you to be technically very good when you're slightly smaller than your opposition. So that van going past has really just ruined that, and I don't know if I can answer exactly the same again.
When we come to South Africa, which we have for a number of seasons now, we know the physical demands are going to go up, purely because the physical cost is so much higher. When we come to somewhere, especially with the polar opposite of back home, like we've had a long winter, so we haven't had the exposures to the heat and the altitude we have. Also, there's certain things we can do to utilise the conditions before we come out. So ensure we get a heat acclimation period and protocol before we come in. So 9 to 12 exposures, passive exposures to sauna is important. So when we come out here, it's mainly about thermal comfort as well for the players. So when they're out here in training, it's not so much a shock to the system, the heat that comes with that, especially flying into Cape Town between 25 and 30 degrees and getting a few training days under our belt before going into the Stormers game. So that's predominantly around heat. We know that resting heart rate is going to go up as soon as we get out here first 24 hours. Power output is going to go down, but then post that you will get positive adaptation to the heat as well. So we do need to utilise that. So getting some real good intensity within our training going into the game is important. But obviously there's a dose relationship that we're not carrying fatigue into the game as well. And then obviously then we fly up to either Pretoria or Johannesburg. Obviously we get altitude then. And again, you are going to get drop-offs in physical outputs the first 24 hours. Naturally, physiologically, resting heart rate is going to go up, power output is going to come down. But post that, we need to probably get 5 days of exposure to utilise the physiological adaptation as well, so increasing red blood cell count we can cash into. So intensity of training is really important. So we've got real good training week under our belts, as we did in January when we trained in Johannesburg. So up and around 700 metres currently. Living in altitude is important as well, because we can get passive adaptations to it, and obviously we'll then travel into Victoria and go back down to 1300 metres. So where there are negative effects of coming into heat and altitude when you first get into the country within 24 hours, there's also certain ways we can utilise the elements to give us some acute physiological responses going into the game as well.
I don't think it changes a huge amount what we do. I think the biggest thing, something that Doug said about the scrum, is we have to be technically on the money because we know the size disadvantage that potentially they'll have. The other thing of it is, alongside the technique stuff, being on the money there, is the mindset that the boys show for each other. And I think in set piece especially, it's opportunities for the group to show how close they are together and how much they're willing to work for each other. That's some of the most pleasing things for us, myself and Duncan at the time, is seeing what the boys deliver. I'm just proud to be associated with what they do.